Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, whichever part of the world you are. I'm Bhavna Mukhopadhyay and I represent the Voluntary Health Association of India. VHAI is a public health organization working on the issues of health and development across India as well as Southeast Asia. We have a pan-India presence with a presence in 24 states of India and more than 4,500 member institutions in our network working across the country. We also look after the International Union for Health Promotion. It's the international post for the Southeast Asia region. I take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee of the conference for giving me this opportunity to present our work on building community resilience for effective prevention and control of COVID-19 in India on this important platform. So in today's presentation, I will take you through the key approaches and strategies adopted by us to build community ownership for effective control and prevention of COVID-19 in one of the remote areas of India. Drawing learnings from this intervention as well as our experiences of implementing similar community-based projects for the last 4 decades. I will be sharing with you some key recommendations and way forward for a community-based sustainable approach. So to begin with, let me give you a little background. As you all know, that COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the fault lines in our healthcare system, and the need for clear scientific and evidence-based health promotion approach to support the health policy making process is greater than ever before. The pandemic has also reminded us that we need to promote health for all and all for health in this time of crisis and beyond. And this requires interventions such as collective action of the government, as well as other stakeholders, including active involvement of local communities. It has also highlighted a critical link between promoting health as well as SDGs. And to achieve the SDGs, there is an urgent need to follow health promotion linked roadmap using the life course approach. Given this context and keeping in view our program along with International Union for Health Promotion and Education, this was designed to create an innovative community-based health program in remote parts of India. So let me give you a brief idea of what the program was like. VHI, with support from the International Union for Health Promotion and Education, designed an innovative community health program with the objective to build the capacity and resilience of local underserved communities and health systems, and also to develop a sustainable roadmap for COVID-19 prevention. So it was a very short project, about 5 months, but has yielded some significant outcomes and learnings for us. The geographical area that was selected for this intervention was a very remote area in eastern part of India, in the state of Odisha, where about 32% of the population have very poor socioeconomic status, and they're surviving at less than $60 a month, which is about less than $2 a day. So that is the kind of socioeconomic status of the local communities. We felt that responding to this extraordinary conditions of COVID-19 will require all hands on deck approach, and only then we will be able to support the vulnerable population. So our implementation strategy was to involve all key stakeholders, like local self-government, existing community platforms such as youth groups, self-help groups, village committees, religious leaders, government frontline workers, school teachers, the local health staff, and the civil society organizations, including also the media, local media houses, and private institutions. And it was also important that we involved all of them, keeping in mind the long-term sustainability and replicability of the program. Taking you to the central approach of the program. So our main fulcrum was the community engagement and peer educator model, which was required to build the public trust and collective responsibility for prevention and control of COVID-19 at the local level. And through this program, we have been able to create a strong pool of peer educators at the village level. These are a young, dynamic group of adolescent girls and boys who are actively working with the local government, the health workers, as well as the local communities on risk communication and community engagement activities, which we call the RCC approach. Several activities were implemented through the course of the program, and this slide gives you some idea of the key activities that we went through. I won't go into details of each activity, just give you a little bit of highlight. I think the baseline and endline assessment was a very important part of the exercise so that we could measure the changes that we were able to bring about. Behavior risk change and risk communication were very important interventions which we did following the RCC guidelines. And we developed a very strong communication strategy, and the information education communication material was also developed in the local languages. A very important part of the exercise was to create COVID-19 information centers at the village level to cater to the needs of the local community. A very important part of our activity was to build capacities of community groups, peer educators, and the government health workers. And while we did all this, we also tried to strengthen the government's response to COVID-19 prevention and control. And we tried to bridge the gap between the communities and the government systems through our activities. So this was primarily some of the activities that we built, that we did through our work. This slide shows our outreach in the form of numbers, and what I'd like to highlight is the creation of hand washing facilities that were created at public places. The capacitated peer educator groups established a good rapport and understanding with the local village communities, and this helped us to mobilize the local village funds that were used for creating hand washing facilities in common areas. A number of communication materials were also developed, and these materials were contextualized for local use and also translated into the local languages. Now I've come to an important part of the presentation, which will talk about the whole evaluation of the work that we did over 5 to 6 months. And in order to measure the impact of this intervention, we conducted an evaluation study using the RE-AIM framework, and I'll come to this framework in a bit. The evaluation process was a cross-sectional descriptive study using mixed method approach, including quantitative survey, focus group discussions, and community transects, which involved observation at the community level. And if you look at the demographic profile of the respondents, about 45% of the households fall below poverty line, with an average annual household income of less than rupees 50,000 Indian rupees, which amounts to less than $700 a year. So it was a really very sort of vulnerable area, socio-economically very vulnerable area. The key sort of highlights of the study, as per the end line, there were a lot of sort of findings, but the key highlights was, if I was to say, around 94% of the respondents were aware of COVID-19. And there was significant improvement in awareness about the COVID-19 prevention measures, signs, symptoms, risks, and complications. And about 80%, as per the online assessment, were aware about the COVID-19 preventive measures, as compared to 41% respondents that knew about these measures at the beginning of the program. So that was a good success of the program. Other important finding was that 76% respondents stated that they had access to community hand washing facility, which was about 24% at the pre-intervention level, so a significant increase there. And COVID-19 vaccination coverage also improved significantly, which was, as you can see, 37% before the intervention started, and it increased to about 85%. So I would give a strong, I would strongly give credit to our local peer educators who work proactively on the advocacy front and the liaison front with the government and local communities, and this sort of change and sort of the strengthening of the community could happen over a short period of time. So coming to the REAM framework that I talked about, the highlights of the evaluation study using the REAM framework, which is the reach, effectiveness, adoption, maintenance, or sustainability. So according to this framework, it says that more than 32,000 people, or about 8,000 families living in 70 villages of Odisha, we were able to reach them. And majority of people belong to vulnerable families and groups, like I said, below the poverty line. The effectiveness of the intervention was that there were significant changes in knowledge, attitude, practices of local communities towards adherence of COVID-19 protocols, such as proper usage of masks, hand washing, physical distancing, and all those things. And of course, adoption, when we come to the adoption aspect, community groups, particularly peer educators, volunteers, government frontline workers, they have internalized the process and adopted the concept of risk communication and community engagement strategy, and are actively working with their village communities. And lastly, of course, the sustainability, the active involvement of the local community stakeholders and the local health authorities, particularly the government frontline workers in the project intervention area, will ensure the continuity of our efforts in the ground. So briefly, some lessons learned. I would say community-led or community-owned interventions yield much better and effective outcomes, and also carve a path for the sustainability of the actions. It was also observed that when the local communities are active, health systems definitely become more responsive. Coordination and collaboration with local self-governance structures, local authorities, and local media is also very crucial for the outcomes of a good program. And creation of a peer educator model, I would say the most important thing that helped us in achieving the project interventions and project objectives, as well as addressing the key determinants of health. Some recommendations that came out of this was the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which is our national apex body in India at the national level, and of course states at the state level, the ministries should consider integrating health promotion as an important aspect of their existing national and state health programs and policies. This is currently very weak in our health system, so we have strongly recommended that this must be strengthened and becomes an important aspect of our all programs and policies. I would say the other recommendation was the local community groups and platforms, including the civil society organizations, NGOs, need to be more sort of involved in a more participative manner in the government programs on the ground, so that there is a better uptake of the existing services and sustainability of their actions, particularly in vulnerable areas where we work, so that the last mile can be reached. And last but not the least, need for increased financial allocation for health promotion and disease prevention. And I think I cannot emphasize this more. So we're very happy to share that this approach has been absorbed as an organic community-led process, where the local communities, apart from addressing core agenda of this intervention, which was COVID-19 prevention and control, it has also helped us to tackle other social determinants of health and other cross-cutting issues. For example, child marriage was a very important problem in this area because the girls are getting married very early because of the pressure of their families. And so, thanks to our peer educators who got sensitized, they have collectively advocated and averted several child marriages in their locality of girls below 18 years. Similarly, the trained group of community volunteers on the ground have helped many vulnerable families with COVID-19 relief measures as well as entitlements that they could receive from the government. So, to sum it up, I would say we need to understand that the process of community engagement is a very slow gradient, and it requires a lot of time to understand the community's felt needs as well as priorities, and then aligning it with our public health agenda. So it's important to strengthen the bottoms up health approach. In the end, I would like to request everyone to please follow or include the health promotion in our ongoing efforts. And together, we can build a collective health promotion movement across the world, which is one of the most cost effective strategies that we have seen that can strengthen our health systems. And when we do that, along with us, let us not forget to take these vulnerable communities. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any comments or question, I'll be happy to receive them on my email ID given here, or you can share it with the organizers of the conference. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.